What's going on, YouTube? Hi, I haven't done one of these live things in a while. So, hi. My screen's going crazy. Here's what I want to do. So specifically, so if you haven't heard, I'm working with Personas now, which is great. Home Studio Corner's not going anywhere. But if you're not subscribed to their YouTube, you're going to see a lot of stuff from me over there as well. But what I'd love to do is get some feedback from you specifically about Studio One. Sorry, let me check these settings. There we go. Just looking for we're my role with Personas is basically just Studio One to help with training, obviously, but also we want to keep making it better, keep improving it. So I would love some feedback on that. So if you're not a Studio One user, sorry, this is probably not the thing for you. What's up, NP? But I'm specifically just asking for some feedback. I've got a big list of things that I myself have run into that I'd like to see happen, and stuff that just different people I've talked to. But I thought, you know what? I've got this audience of people, and a lot of you are using Studio One. So just curious if there are any feedback you could give me would be much appreciated. One thing I love about Personas is, I mean, obviously I've been using their stuff for years, but there are a number of features that did not exist that now exist. And I know several of them, I'm sure I wasn't the only one, but I know several of them, I emailed the developers, hey, this feature would be great. And then I would see it show up sometimes as soon as in a few weeks in an update. So we're small, but we're agile. So we're just trying to improve, ever improve. So that's why I'm here. Also, I'm happy to try to answer any questions you have, but really I'd love to do some recon on Studio One itself. And maybe this is better to do one-on-one, but you never know until you try. So let's hear it. Damien, welcome back from Namm. Thank you. Namm was fun. Namm was long. I was there I left this house like 4 something early on Monday morning and didn't get back to the following Monday night. Fernando says, don't go away. I had issues with Studio One on memory management. I used Contact and getting 4 instances loaded. I started to get a mess on playback. Okay. Well, there you go. Was that recently? Was that on a recent version? Was it a previous version? That's good to hear. So, Fernando, are you saying that Contact works better in another software and does not work well with Studio One? Is that what you're saying? The Crown. I've been using these big M Audios for 12 years, and Personas just sent me a pair of these Scepter 6s. They're cool. I haven't put them through their paces too much yet, but been listening a lot on them, and I like them. So tell me, I forget who was it that was saying it. Hello from Spain. Hello, Spain. What's up, Nate Kelms? Just looking for feedback on Studio One. On Studio One specifically. I heard it run smoothly on other DAWs, but maybe I'm missing something. Gotcha. Well, it makes sense that maybe you don't have multiple DAWs to test it on. There's a lot that goes into running virtual instruments. One thing is if you're just on a slower computer, it could just not be a Studio One. I'm not trying to shift the blame. It could be a Studio One thing. I don't know. I've not heard that, but it could be that you just have a slow computer, and no matter what system you use, it would run slowly because maybe whatever samples you're using take up a lot of space. It could also be that maybe you loaded the Contact samples into your system drive versus onto an external drive, which will help free up some processing on there. Those are kind of 2 things that come to mind. But yeah, sorry, I don't have much more than that, Fernando. Dual pan on the channel strip instead of using the plugin would be nice. So what would you use that for, Paul? Because I've heard that before. The whole, instead of having a single panner that goes left to right, having two panners, basically like Pro Tools has, where you can adjust the left and right panning. I'm guessing you use that a lot. That's why you're asking. Is there a way of importing music files from external plugins into Studio One artists as professional as explicit? Importing music files, I mean, you can't use third-party plugins with Artist, but if you have Artist, there's an upgrade path from Artist to Pro. So go to Sweetwater and just search for Studio One Upgrade. You shouldn't have to pay the full upgrade price, the full version price. Don, I didn't see your first post. I'm not sure what your second post means. Sometimes when recording vocals on a track and then erasing a vocal section, am I not seeing your whole? It's like the comment isn't complete. Yeah, Harrison is right down the road. They reached out. I'd love to hang out with them at some point. On fader port, I'd like to see better fader port control, particularly control contact, automation dynamics. It doesn't understand. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Damien, I love that you love it. Anthony, thank you for that. Whoever was saying before about contact, there's someone who's using it and it's working well for them. So I'm not saying you're not having problems, but maybe there's something else at play. What's up, Darren Perry? Again, just looking for some feedback on Studio One. If you've used it a bunch, if you've never used it, basically just wanting see kind of what trends. The scroll bars need to be larger. Okay, Don, the scroll bars need to be larger. Can I ask why you're using the scroll bars instead of scrolling using like the mouse scroll wheel or like trackpad like this? Because I would agree, maybe they do need to be bigger. But I can't think of a time I've used the scroll bars. So maybe you can help me understand. Because maybe you can there's a better workflow for you, and you don't need them. Blue Java says, I'm always going back and forth from Cubase to Studio One. I wish Studio One had a control room like Cubase to handle Q mixes and multiple monitors. Also has the click control and VU meters. We do have VU meters in Studio One. You can get that as a free plugin. We also have Q mixes. I'm guessing Cubase has like a control app that lets you switch monitors and stuff like that. We don't have that. How long did it take you to get totally up and running from Pro Tools to Studio One? It was probably a year or two of just slowly transitioning, but maybe not that long. Don, I got you that they're small, but I'm curious why you're using them. I get that you're saying they're larger. I'm saying, gotcha. So Don, on a big mix, if you're using the scroll bar, what you can do is actually hold down Shift and use the scroll on your mouse, and it'll scroll sideways. That actually might be a better option for you. Is there a way to make a nice bass line using the chord follow function? You can. There's some ways to tell it to only be a bass note. I don't know that stuff too well. You should ask Gregor. Bruce, upgrade to 4.6. Yeah, any old session will open in whatever the latest section is. Why is Studio One more expensive than Logic Pro? Where is it better? Boy, lots of ways. For one thing, it's like I was saying earlier, it's a company where I have, as a user, have submitted feature requests and they've implemented them. Logic doesn't do that. I mean, they do, but Apple's a huge company. Studio One's based in Baton Rouge, and it just works really well. I've been thinking about picking up the Fader Port 16. Does it work smoothly with other DAWs as it does with Studio One? I use Pro Tools, my day job. I'm just coming from it works the best with Studio One, which makes sense because that's our software, but it integrates really tightly with Pro Tools as well. Rob Morgan tells me get a touch screen. Yeah, touch screens are cool. Love for DAW mode to map to the fat channel like it does when using a live mixer. I absolutely agree. I am not using DAW mode much because of that. The newer mixers, the newer Series 3 do it a little bit better. But they've had, the Series 3, the mixers, they've had some AVB issues that they've been working on, so that's kind of gone to the back burner. Project Manager, don't know what that means. I would like to see a function where we can decrease the size of some of the internal plugins. You mean like the size of the window? I'd love to see something on the ARM series mixers. External hardware and routing on that mixer. That's going to be more just like a regular analog mixer, since they're not like technically completely digital mixers. Single channel fader port not as cool in Pro Tools. That makes sense. It works really well with Studio One. I'm trying to control plugins in Studio One using external MIDI unit. Fernando, I don't know. I'm not a MIDI guy. That's not something I know about. Um, 48 Rodney versus 44-1. For a while there, they only did 48, so I stuck with 48. There's no real reason. I usually do 48 just because that's, I know if I'm doing stuff for anybody doing video, that's helpful. I don't really care. I just like to leave it at 1. I did a bunch of sessions at 48 when the mixer only did 48, so I just stick to 48. It's not a big difference either way. Is there a way to send a Studio One session from 4.6 to someone that uses an older version? I don't think so. But you could just export the stems if you just want to send them the files. But yeah, I've learned so much. Thanks for your videos. You're welcome. If your mix always sounds bad, Helge, I know this isn't the answer you want. It's probably because your source material isn't very good. The mix is only as good as the recording. So Damien, you're saying you want the mix, some of the plugins in Studio One, you can't resize them, and you'd like to because you don't want to see everything on the screen. Okay. The Atom. Ozone 9, Neutron, and Nectar, and they are heavy on CPU. I mean, those are heavy on the CPU plugin, so nothing other than just using less of those heavy CPU plugins. There's not really much, there's nothing really else you can do because they are so processor intensive. Anthony, I see your question. Sorry, we're talking about Studio One today. Bruce says, I'd like to be able to have songs in folders on the open or create songs section of Studio One so you don't have a song list a mile long. I don't understand what you're saying. Anthony Corley, yeah, go look up template videos. I've done a couple on them now. That's in my template, I believe. It has them all laid out there for you. Then you can just download the template if you have Studio One. Joe, is this rapidly becoming Studio One corner? You're fortunate for the new gig. If your channel becomes more Studio One, I'll be disappointed. I've learned a lot over the years. No, not at all. Have you been paying attention? I've been making a bunch of videos for personas that are Studio One focused, but this, yes, this today, right now, the last 13 minutes have been Studio One focused. Yes. Kenny says, I just upgraded from Artist to Pro earlier today. Weird coincidence. That's awesome. I'm watching you, Kenny. I'm stalking you. I'm kidding. Mackie Control doesn't work super well in Logic Pro. Okay. Got it. What's up, Dylan James Bradshaw? Are you excited about Studio One version 5? One day. We're solidly in 4 right now. David says, phase flip on Fat Channel Pro EQ or elsewhere, easily accessible. Seems like a waste to have insert mix tool. David, this is great. It's there. Open your mixer window, click on the little wrench on the top left-hand side, and turn on input controls, and you will see a phase switch and an input gain at the top of every single channel. See, these are things that I don't think Personas has done a super great job of letting people know about. So yeah, that feature that you want, it's already there. You want a music visualizer with the DAW. Does any DAW do that? Either way, no, I doubt that's, since that doesn't help with any actual music creation, I doubt that's going to be on our list. Sorry. When you're opening a song, you might have to scroll to find a song. I like to go to put songs in their own folder, not explain that very well. Gotcha. Yeah, it's just a recent files list. So if you're like that, what I do is I actually open the folder on my computer and then open it from there. That's really the only way that works, is to use your computer's folder function for that. Yeah, the input gain feature is a game changer. It's so silly and not silly, it's just so simple. But boy, it makes life easier, because you're right, Mix Tool just wasn't an intuitive thing to put on every channel. I have Native Instruments MIDI piano. It's several buttons in which I can. Well, Studio One Artist doesn't. Oh, you're talking about a MIDI piano. How do I enable those buttons? I don't know if you can do custom mapping on Studio One Artist. I honestly don't know. That's probably a Studio One Pro feature. I don't think, Fernando, separate instances is, if you had one instance and you were triggering it from separate MIDI channels, that seems to me like that would be better than having multiple instances. But again, I'm not a MIDI guy, so probably ask Gregor or somebody who uses MIDI a lot. What do you need hardware-wise to use a guitar with the new amp sims? I don't know what you mean, like a DI, that's about it. Or just an interface that has a guitar input on it. The Atom plays brilliantly. We just need an Atom, PreSonus Atom editor now. Doesn't it have one? It has one. You can at least assign like 8 of the pads to a particular function. That's kind of already there. Version 3 to version 4, if you do mostly audio like I do, there wasn't a ton there, but there was a ton of MIDI stuff. That's the best I can tell you. And just little features like that input control function, like that little thing that gives you a phase button at the top. That's always fun. And now that's not going to be in version 3. Any big takeaways from the Namm Show? I think as someone who creates a lot of content, it's easy to get caught up in the newer stuff and to kind of leave the folks behind who are new. In other words, like the simple things, like if Studio One, for example, the simple features that blew me away and got me to switch, it's easy to forget about those when those are the same features that are probably going to blow a lot of people away as well, if that makes sense. Price difference, Tyler, I don't know. Check Sweetwater. I really don't keep up with the pricing. CPU handling, pretty new computer. Studio One has a harder time handling things. Okay, there may be some caching stuff they're working on. You want the sync between the Series 3 and Studio One when recording live. Are you recording to Studio One? Because if you're recording to Studio One, you can do that. And I believe it's supposed to do that even if you're doing it in Capture. I think that's a thing. 4.5 to 4.6. Okay, I bet they're aware of that. I've heard them talking about that. Looking for a video that explains the function of each Studio One plugin. You know what I would do? I wouldn't do that, Mr. 55 Slang. If you're new to mixing, I would watch my videos on mixing and not worry about what every plugin does. I don't use every plugin. I use EQ, compression, a little bit of distortion occasionally, whatever. Clifton, I remember selling you Pro Tools all those years ago. That's funny. You're in the military, right, Clifton? Am I remembering that wrong? If I am, I'm sorry. Explain recording offset, how to set it up. Go watch one on PreSonus' channel. Gregor did one on that because I don't understand it, and he does. So Studio One is offered with Splice. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a monthly rent option. That's cool. As you can tell, I don't know a lot of things. Interesting. And it's the Pro version, huh? Congratulations on the new monitors. Thank you. They're fun. I keep turning on my computer, and it keeps flipping out because I've got a phone sitting on it. What's your day-to-day routine looking like as a new employee there? I mean, it's a lot like it was before, only I'm making more stuff for them. So mostly just content stuff. Either specific content for different dealers that need some training videos or just stuff for their channel. Function to draw in an automation envelope direct to the audio clip and have visual feedback to the changes made. So you're saying we can't draw automation right now? That seems like we can. I could be wrong, sorry. Dang it, I keep hitting this button. Ken, thank you, appreciate that. PreSonus boards, FireWire to Studio One? No, I mean, that's what I've got right here. I had a FireWire board for years, works great. Do you think about running your mix directly through the master process? No, I like to separate them out. Nothing wrong with it. That's just the way I like to work. Am I going to post any of my demos? So yeah, I just shot one today. It'll be on PreSonus' channel of my Namm demo. And then the other one I gave was just the 5-step mix, which I've already posted at five of my kind of latest 5-step mixes to their channel. So that's there already. I basically went through what I talked about in those videos a little quicker because it had to be 20 minutes. Do you still use 11 rack? I haven't used it in a while. It's over there. How does it compare to modern amp sims? I don't have a lot. I've got Ampire, which I think is really great. The new Ampire in Studio One. I've played it. It doesn't give you a ton of options or a ton of effects, but it does the ones it does pretty stinking well. So I need to play that more. And yes, I survived Namm without getting Namthrax or Nammonia or whatever else. I don't know. I was like drenched in hand sanitizer the whole time. Yes, I've moved again platinum. I'm sorry. I know it's a thing. Somebody posted, Steve Rossbotham posted, what did he say? He said, you can measure how long you've been a fan of Joe by how many houses you've lived through or whatever. Jordan Boyd guitar. Did you see the video today? Featured your pretty face. Man, can you help me mix some tracks? I'm not taking on client stuff right now just because I'm super busy. But I've got like 1,000 videos on this channel that can help you. Check out Mixed Together. I did 3 rounds of that, 3 seasons where I mixed a song start to finish on YouTube, and you can get the tracks. Quantum 2626 versus Quantum 2. Price, I think the Quantum 2 is closer to 1,000. 2626 is closer to 600. The 2626 reminds me of the old Fire Studio, or the Fire Pod, or then the Fire Studio. But it's got the Quantum thing, so it has that sick low latency. I should be getting one, and I'll be doing some videos on it for PreSonus. So, if you're just joining, this is a Studio One feedback session. No, I'm not going to be talking all Studio One on this channel. I just will occasionally. You know you love me. Platinum Studios in Hendersonville has 25 years recording experience. Hit him up, y'all. Mixed Together is where I got started. Love it, Ken. Problem is, it doesn't help us who don't do live music. I do mainly hip-hop and R&B, recording single artists. I don't have equipment he used to create the loop back test. Oh, sorry. I don't do that, so I'm not your guy. I apologize. No, it's one of those big boom stands. It just looks like it's hanging from the ceiling. Yeah, I hear you, Dante. I just don't know. Sorry, I don't do that kind of work. So I've literally never done an offset like that. So I apologize. New Studio One videos will be on the PreSonus site. Yeah. Do you understand DC offset? No, I don't. The Scepters are cool. They're different, right, than what I've got. So I'm getting used to them. I'm not doing a ton on them exclusively, but also my M Audios, one of the woofers died today, so we'll see. Thanks, Dante. The thing, Dante, is I could probably learn how to do that loopback MIDI offset thing, but since it's not something I do, I feel like that'd be disingenuous. So I'd rather stay in my lane and talk about things I know really well. which means sometimes I have to say, hey, I don't know. Sorry. Tyler, why would the board record the channels we have selected with the Firewire buttons, but when just the individual channels are up, it won't be in the mix at all? Sorry, Tyler, I'm not understanding your question. If you're talking about recording to Studio One, you've got to then route each channel back out the mixer, if that's what you're saying. Would love to be able to use an external audio editor from within Studio One, like Wavelab, Isotope, otherwise. Interesting. That is interesting. I mean, because they've integrated with Melodyne Essential that works inside Studio One, kind of like wrapped in a window. I'm guessing that's the same kind of functionality you're talking about. Do you see Studio One becoming the industry standard in the future? Reason I ask is because dude, Studio One's getting like 1,800 new users a day. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that out loud, but it's a lot of people are using it. But I think we might be moving away from industry standard anyway. I think so many people are doing their own thing in their own studio. There's not as much of a need for everybody to use the same tools. So I don't know. Do you master your music? Yes, I do. If you have Studio One Pro, you have the project page, which is killer for mastering. If you're asking conceptually, do I master my own music? Yeah, usually. I know it's bad. I use Studio One on the PC. Is there anything I need to know if I move to Mac? No, I was mostly at a PC station at Namm, and I'm a Mac guy, and it was actually really simple. The only thing is the control key is to the left, and I'm used to the command key, which is next to the space bar. So I kept missing my shortcuts, but otherwise it really does feel very similar. Studio One handles loops when changing the pitch and transpose. Mr. Bones. Okay. The fader port 16 in Studio One. A lot of folks do it. Is there anything Personas could do to decrease latency like Luna? Well, if you use one of our interfaces, like the Quantum, it's the fastest Thunderbolt interface on the market. It has like less than a millisecond latency, so that would be the way. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, the jambalaya was amazing. Would you consider mixing a few of my songs? Mikhail, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm not taking clients right now. I've still got some backed up client work from booking it like 2 months ago, so I am out of commission for a while. Yeah, I got a demo of Luna as well. It does seem interesting. They've got the software and the hardware. They've got the hardware and then the software control, so a DAW kind of makes sense, but I don't know. I thought Personas was weird for making a DAW all those years ago, and now it's what I use, so I think it's funny, we've gone from, it used to be like Pro Tools, you could only use Pro Tools with Pro Tools hardware, and we got away from that, right? So everybody could use whatever hardware, but now we're kind of getting back to that. Like with Luna, you can only use Luna with their hardware on a Mac. They're kind of limiting you back in, which not a bad thing, it's just interesting. Do you have a video tutorial on how to create a project? So you go and create a project, and then you open a song, and you go to add to project while the project is open. But Dante, if you're doing MIDI, go watch Gregor's videos. He's doing a lot of EDM, electronic music, which I'm guessing has a lot of carryover to what you're doing. Can you advise something in good volume proportions in the mix? No, not today. We're talking Studio One today. Can you use a Studio Live reverb like an external effects in Studio One? I mean, maybe, but it's not like those reverbs sound amazing, and you couldn't just do that inside of Studio One using their reverbs. So no, I wouldn't do that. All right, y'all. I think I'm out of time. Thank you for your feedback. This has been really helpful. I promise not to turn Home Studio Corner into a Studio One only setup. I just wanted to get some feedback. So I got to go.